Welcome back. I'm Kevin,
I make.
and welcome to Off Camera Facts. So, previously we spoke about how we didn't know what we were getting into when we first started our business, and now we want to start talking about the pressure in photography and what we felt to capture our couple's photos in this, once in a lifetime event.
Yeah. So, what's your mentality on the handling the pressure of the day?
The pressure, I would say, if starting off, uh, starting the wedding, I would say the main thing is what's the flow throughout the day, and I already know these couples to begin with because I photographed their engagement session.
Yeah.
So we almost already have a connection, and I mean we do have a connection, and the warm up phase of being shy and awkward is behind us now. So the wedding day, our couples feel like there's less of a pressure of having their photos taken by the same photographer that captured their engagement session.
But what if you don't have engagement?
If you don't have the engagement session, then usually, I mean, I always recommend to either meet online through Zoom, or we just have a quick conversation through email so I get a good feel of what they're looking for when they're sending me sample photos of what they like. So it kind of puts me in the right mindset of what they're looking for. But the overall pressure of the day starts with, like, are they into getting wedding details captured? Do they have a lot of details captured? So I have to prep my mind to know that this is the amount of time that I have to capture these details. And I don't know if that's the same for you when you first started in 2009. Did you sorry. Did you formulate any, like, a system for yourself?
The first system is how much time do I have, right? Because a lot of times in the morning, it's like, it's a toss up. You're going to have a lot of time. Cool. You have a chill, like, wedding party, or you have no time. So a lot of times it's like, okay, if I have no time, then I start making cuts. I start making priority shots in my brain. I'm like, at least I need to get this, and this, right?
And that's where the pressure lies,
That's
right?
the pressure.
Is
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. That's the first thing is time. How much time do I have? Because if I have a lot of time, cool, I'm going to go 3 locations. If I can go more, cool. Like, how creative can I be? How far can I walk to put this ring or to put these, like, details in a cool spot? Or do I literally only have 5 minutes and then we got to go to do gift exchange and then, okay, I can only go stay right here in this room. Right. So it's like, how much time do I have? That will determine how creative I can be or how, like, ballsy I can be with the camera.
How about, being creative all the time?
All the time?
Is that fair? Is that a lot of pressure? Because I feel like that's what our couples are asking of us.
Wait. What do you mean? They're asking you to be creative from morning to night?
From morning and night. I think that's their expectation, is like what sets us as photographers apart from any other company.
Again, it would be time. It's just like, I know I got 8, 10, 12 hours, right? But
So,
how is it managed? Because time could be wasted and you're like, yo, like, so-and-so is late or whatever, we're waiting on something. And so my pressure of, like, trying to be creative is, like, hindered by that, or could be hindered by that, right? So it's just how much time do we have? And then the creativity and the flow can go from there. Because does it take you a lot of time to get into a flow, or you can go flow, like, right away?
it does take me a lot of time to get into the flow.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started. Nowadays, I wouldn't say it takes me that.
How, like minutes? How many minutes?
Yeah, so before it would take me, like, I have to show up 2 hours early
Oh.
to warm up my eyes, to warm up my hands, because I don't have that many years of experience back in the day. So
Right.
I needed to scout these venues. I needed to know the light that I'm dealing with. There was so many things in play, especially when you were always at my side.
Yeah.
We were walking around together. I was like, okay, you can do this, you can do that. This
Yep.
is a nice location for him.
Yep.
And then it turns out, right, things will change when
Yeah.
we start pointing things out.
Yeah, yeah.
When you say like
Or light changes.
the pressure of light.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you would be thrown off when you like
Yeah, thrown off or randomly like, oh, another wedding is taking place here and I can't use that spot no more, but I only have 15 minutes because then we got to go to ceremony. Like things like that, that a lot of thinking, spur of the moment, problem solving. And like you had all this A, B, and C, and now I only can do A and B and a half. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
so, yeah, that pressure is intense. But that's what I was like, I think thinking about it before is like, the pressure from details all the way to ceremony is pretty intense.
it
Would you
is pretty
say?
intense.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we were to break it down early on in the day, what is the biggest pressure that you feel during prep?
Just making sure I get all my shots because I know in the morning something gonna be late, right?
So
Like,
specifically, what is that?
specifically, it's usually hair and makeup. You know, to no fault
Hair
of
and
their
makeup
own.
for guys?
Oh no, not for guys, but
For you.
for me.
Yeah.
Like all the running of the day and everything. For guys, for me specifically, it would be let me see. You know what? Not too many late things with the guys. The biggest things were like I forgot the ring or I lost the ring or I forgot
Losing the ring.
Yeah.
I mean, that thankfully only happened once.
One time, yeah. that threw a wrench in everybody's chain. You're waiting on everything. Waiting on flowers. That often puts a wrench in the time because then you're like, now I'm taking all these portraits again later with the flowers because I just took them all for safety, right?
What are some advice then? I mean, knowing that you have all this pressure, what was a good advice for our couples to make us feel less pressured?
Well, it's not your job, couples, to make us feel less pressure. This is how we handle it. We will tell you, you know, have all your details in a box ready to go. You know, that way we're not hunting for so-and-so. Like, oh, do you remember where this is or something? I mean, you do your best. Have everything in a box ready for us. If you call it, we call it details. We'll ask you to put all the details in a box and then just have somebody have them all, you know, ready to go for us. That way we're not hunting for all these items. That's the big thing, right?
That is a big thing.
Yeah. We show up early, right? Not every company, I don't know about that. We show up early, an hour early before. And so we're trying to make sure that there's no surprises for us because we don't want pressure to invade on everything, even though we know it's going to be there. Whether it's from us, like the mentality, or like something's late again.
Very true. I always like to be early than
Yeah.
late
Yeah, yeah.
because, you know, I don't want to start off the day on the wrong foot.
No way.
Being stuck in traffic,
No one, yeah.
unexpected accidents. You know, I always tell the entire team, even till this day, just arrive an hour early. You're going to feel a lot better.
You're going to feel good, yeah. And what if there's construction at the hotel that you did not plan for? You didn't see that last week when you went to the hotel and scouted. All of a sudden there's something broken and now your first look spot that you scouted is not there anymore, right? So yeah, there's pressure.
Lots of pressure. But I feel like nowadays we have that pressure under control.
Yeah.
Looking at the pressure that I still feel today is the same thing that you said. Like, what is your workflow? Mm-hmm. How do you get into the flow of things,
Yeah.
right? I always like to start off with the wedding dress. For some reason, the wedding dress is so
okay.
important
Yeah, yeah.
because you don't want it to get it dirty. You want it to shoot. You want to shoot it correctly.
Yeah.
You want to find a creative spot for
Will
it.
you wait for, like, say the dress is not ready? Will you wait to do the dress, or you'll start with?
I would
with
just
whatever.
immediately start with the dress.
What if it's not ready though? That's what I'm saying.
It's always ready.
It's always ready. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they always end up steaming it right before she puts it on.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's always ready.
Yeah.
I like to get that big thing out of the way
Yeah.
because the pressure that I feel if I shot it last before she gets into the dress is her groom just walking past and seeing the dress.
Oh,
So I don't
yeah.
want to, spoil it. So I felt it's important to get the dress out of the way. He's in his room or he's
I didn't
having
even think about
breakfast. So
He
dress
can't.
is
He
done.
can't even see the dress hanging.
he can't see the dress.
I didn't.
Yeah,
Totally. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
yeah it spoils the first look.
Yeah.
So It's important for us to get the dress out of the way. The other minute details like shoes and rings and jewelries, like I don't really mind if he sees that. So I always save those for last, which is funny because those things take longer than photographing the wedding dress.
So like, that's just your flow, right? That's your structure in your brain, like your shot list. You go dress and then the little things, right?
Yeah, I started with the wedding dress, then I would, photograph the shoes and then the flat lays and the rings. It used to be that you photograph the rings on its own. You do some creative flair to it, but I feel
more?
we don't do that anymore because
Interesting.
we're already doing it in the flat lay, so it's a little repetitive, and the flat lay takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Again, so we don't want to add more time that is required to do rings separately, and I just feel from what couples are looking at, they really don't.
They don't care.
They don't care about the ring being on its own
Anymore, huh?
anymore.
Interesting. Cool.
They like it as a collage along with everything else that they have, all their other accessories.
I think it makes sense because you know how we used to photograph every single thing, right? On its own. And then when you're trying to put that like in an album maybe or something like that, it's like...
It looks funny.
It looks funny, yeah. Unless you were to make an album yourself and put it all together, but yeah, clients aren't doing that.
Yeah, nowadays I feel like if I'm going to photograph a jewelry that's on its own, there must be a story behind that jewelry. Like it's passed down from your grandparents.
Oh, yeah.
But nowadays I feel like it's coming off from like Claire's or somewhere.
You can't say Claire's.
I know.
Damn. These are my Claire's earrings.
That's what it feels like.
Okay. Yeah, they want to see like, all laid out in a collection, no? Yeah.
Yeah, they want to see it all laid out. And since it's all laid out all together, there's no point to itemize each into its separate photo. And
I like that better too.
That's just going to require like an hour of details, and
yeah,
they rather have their memories taken than details.
Right. Yeah, I'm definitely hearing that across like my meetings is like, do you guys want details? Like, what is that? Okay, I tell them. They're like, okay, yeah, a little, like that. That's what they say.
Not so much.
Yeah, not so much. Not as before. Not like 10 years ago for sure.
Yeah, so things are being more... those things were played out before.
Yeah.
Now it's more like genuine authenticity in their photos. I mean, we always been capturing it that way.
Yeah.
But they just want more of it.
Right. Gotcha. When did you start feeling that you had a handle on the pressure of a wedding, or you said that never went away?
I feel at new wedding venues, the pressure comes back.
Yeah.
But at venues that we've been like throughout our career, that pressure definitely went away. You just know where to go. You're not trying to redo the same shot that you did in previous weddings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Remember when we would go to a new venue and it was awesome, and then it would be almost overwhelming of how many places you wanted to go, and you would tell me, oh man, there were so many places I want to go. I kind of got brain freeze, right? Because I want to go to all of them, but you can only go to like 2 or 3.
Yeah, like to us, we always like to maximize a new space because we want to experiment, and we also want to provide the best experience for our couples.
And it's new. We're excited. It's like, I want to go to texture,
And that's the pressure that we put on ourselves, was to try to get all those different spots, and these spots will be like 10 different spots.
Yeah.
Photographing at different areas, we're always trying to give our couples the full experience of the day. Especially we have all these selected areas, we want to give them the best.
Yeah.
So that's the pressure that we put on ourselves, is to try to tackle each spot and give everything to them.
Yeah.
And I felt that was very challenging.
You still do that today?
I don't think we have time today. Like these weddings are a little bit different nowadays. I remember back in the day, we would always say, hey, we don't have a wedding planner. We're planning everything. Remember? There used to be several years within the middle of our career where we were planning everything for
You
our
saying
couples.
us? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. there was no planner on their day. They felt like we were planners already.
Yeah.
And that was an unexpected pressure,
Yeah.
being a photographer and being a planner at the same time. Like,
Oh yeah.
we would tell couples back in the day that, we're not your planner. You definitely need to hire a real wedding planner, because we're only giving you the photo timeline. We're not giving you, a master timeline for every vendor.
That's right. We used to do that. We didn't have that delineation. Well, maybe that was because we were charging a certain rate, and so we were in that sort of like, I don't know, category of vendors and stuff. But even Jenna will tell you, one of our lead photographers, she's like, dude, it's not only being a photographer, but it's like being an emotional like therapist or somebody to lean on, or confidant, or somebody who's like actually holding some secrets or whatever, some like personal information, and then you're like, I thought I just came here to shoot a wedding, but it's so much more than that.
So diving in, other than the venue, did you feel any pressure during the ceremony?
Oh yeah.
When you first,
that's like the number one.
Let's start with, when you first started in 2009 till before you retired and became HR.
Yeah. In the beginning, it was like I had my shot list for the ceremony, and then depending on what kind of ceremony it was like church or outdoor, right? That's the main delineation. Out in a church, they're definitely more strict, so there was that pressure of like, I can only go right here, or I can only do this, or I have to be quiet, or I can't move a lot. So there was the pressure, the limitation of like, how do I move to get the best shot?
And they still are strict.
They're still like that for sure. And I think clients understand that. It's like the pictures may be a little bit darker than, obviously than we were outside. But shoot, you understand that, right? And before, I think the camera wasn't as powerful as it is now. It was good back then, but we were pushing the camera like crazy.
I would say, that gave us a lot of
3200
pressure.
ISO,
We're like sweating. We know the pressure of editing these photos, a very dark.
Right. And we're like, I don't want to push it to its max because it's going to look really crappy. And like, so I'm like, you're trying to make all these like compromises as you're shooting. At the same time, you have to be literally like this, like, I don't know, like a shooter, like a gun shooter, just cocked at the ready, because you don't know when they're going to kiss or they're going to do something before, because we're inexperienced, and you just want to be hella ready so that you can just within a moment's notice. So you're never just standing here like this. So the pressure of being in this position the whole time and like watching, paying attention. And then not only is like how we used to do it is like, we used to like look at each other and communicate.
Give sign language.
Yeah, communicate through the eyes. Like, hey, you got it, you got it. Like when people would walk to the Virgin Mary, and it's like, all right, who's getting it, right? Who's got the best angle? A quick look to each other, and like, oh, it's you. Okay, cool, got it. And we would communicate that in like 2 seconds.
But
right?
the pressure between us when we first started was very different.
Yeah.
Because I would say we were photographing a lot of Vietnamese Catholic ceremonies.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You wouldn't understand Vietnamese, obviously.
Right.
And I would understand it, so I would know what's about to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And that was probably a different pressure on your end. Would you say?
I would just go where the action is. I don't think I had to really understand exactly what they were saying, but in a Catholic mass, I understood because I've been to many Catholic mass, obviously.
And
you never, yeah.
And that was the pressure on me.
And you're like, I never been to Vietnamese Catholic mass. I was like,
I didn't even know Vietnamese were Catholic.
And I was like, what? These are your
I grew
people.
up Buddhist, so I
right,
never knew.
Right. I didn't know that either. When we were first starting out, we were just learning all this stuff for the first time. But then I think when we were doing tea ceremony, that felt very same thing. A lot of pressure. Like, I really don't know what's going on. And we're in the tightest spot ever.
Oh, and we both never experienced tea ceremony.
I thought that was so funny. I was like, these are your people.
And I was
and you were like, nope.
No, because, none of my cousins,
never had a tea ceremony.
Yeah, they weren't married at the time when we first started.
Yeah, we were so young. We were in our like 23, 24, like that, right?
Yeah, very young.
Something like that.
Trying to figure things out.
Just trying, yeah. So the pressure there in the ceremony was like all leading up to the kiss and being ready for the kiss. If you have a quick kiss, you have a long kiss. Most of the time with Asians, we have quick kisses. So you got to be really ready for that. And then there was also the pressure that we learned of like working alongside videographer or Uncle Bob. You know, like, how am I going to get my shot? I'm responsible for this shot, and you're in my way.
With the iPad.
With whatever.
iPad used to be an annoyance during weddings.
Yeah. How would I communicate in that tight moment, right? Because I got to get my shot, or I'm going to get reamed later. Things like that. So that was the pressure during ceremony. And I feel like, is that still the case today?
I still feel that pressure because
I would think so.
I feel the father during most ceremonies, there's always a different person, and they all have their own structure of how they do things.
Yeah.
And that kiss towards the end can either be in the middle of the ceremony, and sometimes it can be at the end, and it throws me off.
Yeah.
Because for one experience, he wants them to take the flower to Virgin Mary and then kiss afterwards, which is traditional.
Yeah.
Because that's the tail end of the wedding.
Yep.
But then there's some fathers that prefer to kiss before heading out to Virgin Mary, and that throws me off.
Oh, you're talking about the priest.
The priest. So I would say, yeah, you got that pressure to always be alert.
Be ready, yeah.
And be ready.
Yeah.
And other scenarios is when you have your friend officiating, and it's their first time.
Yeah.
They're nervous.
Yeah.
They're trying their best, but they start rambling off really quickly, and the ceremony becomes 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
And both you and I, or another shooter, never like we thought this was going to be a 30-minute ceremony.
Right. Now it's 10 minutes.
And we were like, oh, we just captured, the reaction of the groom, reaction of the bride, but we didn't get any reaction of the guests because it was only 10 minutes, and the space of the area was large, so that time of walking from one side to another side, you have to account for that.
Right. So now you're
looking. You feel that?
Yeah. Now you're looking at your other partner shooter. What are like? Are you gonna get like a lot of that going on, like communicating with the eyes, because you can't verbally talk to each other. Remember, we used to have walkie-talkies before.
We used to have walkie-talkies, and
nobody does that anymore, huh?
Video teams still do it.
Oh, okay.
But I just, it was very hard to concentrate.
Yeah.
When someone's like speaking into your ear.
Yeah.
And you'll be laughing, and you're talking to your side, like the groom and the groomsmen. So it was funny. It just didn't work for us.
The flow, yeah. Kind of threw us off.
Yeah, I felt like I was working at AT&T throughout the day.
You don't want to be Secret Service?
Yeah. But what other pressure did you feel did you feel any pressure during reception details?
I will tell you after our break.
Okay.
All right, we're back from our break. Reception details pressure, you said.
Yeah, circling back to when we were shooting together, details were so important.
Oh, yeah.
Important to planners,
yeah,
because they like to, display it on their own social media platform, which was Facebook at the time.
Yep.
And more weddings were being published in magazines.
Yep.
Nowadays, it's being published on websites. So there's less of, photos being published in magazines.
For sure, yeah.
So details were important. So on your end, did you feel the pressure to capture, especially a very extravagant wedding? Like,
yeah.
What went through your...
In my day, which I didn't get the off-camera flash training that you're so famous for now. But back in the day, it was still, I got to use my flash correctly still, my on-camera flash. And so it was truly about making the flash become a window, become like this, little sun that you would tell me. And then go in my checklist of like going from big picture to little picture. So like, but a lot of times you kind of get thrown off because say maybe the reception is not ready yet. So then you got to again, okay, how much time do I have? I got to start prioritizing shots. A lot of times we do the grand shot last because of the whole like stuff not being ready. Cake's not ready. Okay, I'll wait for that and I'll go shoot this table. And so a lot of times during the reception, it was like, what's ready first? What's available to shoot? You know, sometimes you get lucky and everything's done for you and it's all perfect and nobody's even in the reception either. There's always that pressure of like, you got servers walking in and out, lighting candles and everything, and that's clicking into your time. You're like, okay.
It's quite difficult because not everyone, any other vendors realize
Yeah.
how much when you have an extravagant setup,
Yeah.
how much time it requires a photographer to get the right angle and the right light
and
move on.
Yeah.
Right? We try and move as quickly as possible, but
Yeah.
when there's like intricate details that
And
we
then there's
feel that are special.
interruption.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
interruption. The interruption is that we have servers that need to fill water in everyone's glass before the guest starts to get seated,
Yeah.
or it's 100 degrees outside in Temecula,
Yeah.
and all the guests just can't bear with the heat outside and want to go inside, right?
Right.
So we have the pressure about like 10 to 15 minutes to
Get the whole thing.
everything done.
Yeah, yeah. That's how it always would feel. And
it's still relevant till this day.
It's still like that. Okay. I mean, I think it would be even more complex now that we are often using off-camera flash, right? The team now, right? Off-camera flash setup, and then making sure you capture every little thing. If there's a special memento, you got to capture that as well. And and then
Did you ever have any technical issues with your flash that, put in more pressure?
Before, yeah. When I didn't know, like back in the day when we're getting to know our equipment on the most minute scale, it was like if your battery's running low, it will start kind of like shading different color. Like this flash would be like, once I shoot it, it's a little green. I shoot it again, it looks a little magenta. What? It's losing power. That's what's going on, right? So those were the kinds of things that would happen in equipment. Is like the equipment not being consistent because you've been shooting with this thing throughout the whole day. You haven't changed the battery, and now you're rushing to do this. You're not maybe thinking about that, and you're like, why the heck? Why is it not shooting correctly? Oh, change the battery. That takes time. You got to go find your bag, whatever.
You become a technician, no longer a photographer.
You were going to go shoot it, and now that they've seen that you're not shooting, now all the servers come back in and start like doing their thing. You're like, okay, move now because I'm ready with my flash now. So like things like that, it would often feel just like so rushed, Yeah.
That's technology.
Yeah, that's what it is.
We just can't. But yeah, our job, we just, when we break things down,
Yeah.
you start to realize all the little hats that you have to play within one wedding day, and that's what makes wedding photography, I feel, so special between our company and another photographer, any other vendor.
Any other vendor for sure.
I would say every vendor is important in a wedding.
Yeah.
That's what makes weddings so special, when we all collaborate
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
But we all have our own pressure of making things right.
Yeah.
And bring the vision from our couples to life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel that's the most intense pressure, is to make our entire collection that we captured, from the details, the prep, all the way till the end of open dance,
Yeah.
to flow correctly, and there's a story to tell.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it all like looks cohesive,
Between our second photographers and our lead photographers.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, to achieve that, that's the pressure that we, outside of photographing weddings, we're always constantly training, our team.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel when we have those training days, it really takes the pressure off from lead photographers like myself, because
Yeah.
I know it's going to be captured correctly.
Yeah. How are you mentally when you got like say back-to-back weddings? It's like double pressure for the week.
Before, it was intense pressure because it would be 12 hours today, 12 hours tomorrow.
We don't do that anymore.
Sometimes we had 3 weddings, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
I didn't know what we were going to get ourselves into.
Just did it.
We just did it because we needed to survive.
We wanted to buy stuff.
Anyways, the pressure that we had in the back end was offloading all of our photos from the night before, making sure that everyone had extra copies of those wedding photos, because it's scary when you say, like,
Yeah.
if someone lost a CF card, which is like a memory card, and forgot to upload it into your computer, and then when it's time to edit on Monday, you're like, there's a section of the wedding missing.
Yeah.
So I felt that was always a pressure, is to be able to just calm down after a wedding. Once you get home, offload all the cards, charge all the batteries, make sure you're off to a fresh start the next day.
Yeah, you cannot skip this step no matter how tired you are.
Yeah, you're going to spend that extra 1 hour or 2 hours after the wedding to take initiative in doing all those steps.
Yeah.
Just for reassurance that you don't have to, you're not missing anything from the night before.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's very important.
Yeah, I still tell our second photographers nowadays as well, is make sure you back up your photos on your end. We have your copies on our end.
Yeah.
We back them up. But we always like to, triple check and have multiple copies of your photos.
Yeah. It's important. Cool.
Any other things you like to share
On pressure?
on pressure?
I'm glad I'm
Delivering
not doing it anymore.
What did you have any pressure in the post-production of your photos?
Only when something's not right. Other than that, it's like turn these in as soon as possible, because I don't want them to sit on my desk. You know what I mean? I don't like things to sit there where something could go wrong. I want to move it. I want to deliver it. Like, even I remember when we were running Bells and Laces, I was like, we copy with the 4 to 6 week delivery, right? It was like, if I'm ready at 2 weeks, I'm gonna deliver it, because I don't want that thing sitting around. I just here.
I'm the same way.
Here, take it. Like, I just, I don't want to be responsible for anything. Like, I just want to move it. Yeah.
A thing for me is since we just photographed that wedding, it's fresh in my mind to know what was important.
Yeah.
What to keep versus what not to keep. When you say, like, I feel there's more pressure being placed on you if you were to edit that wedding 2 weeks from their event.
Yeah.
You would start to lose memory of what actually happened in this photo.
I think too is, like, I like to complete things at that time. So, like, I don't like to multitask and be like, I'll work on this and this and this. No, I want to be like, work on this, done, clear it. Work on this, done, clear it. Like, that's how I like to work, to be systematic about it. And, like, that's how I like to run the rest of my life. I want to work on something, be really focused on it, give it all my attention, and then be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Systems are important. And
Yeah.
we have to thank you for creating those systems, the SOPs, because
SOPs, yeah.
really helped us in our business
Yeah.
to break things down and make things, flow a lot better. And we share those systems and procedures with the rest of our team, so everyone is on the same page.
Yeah, I think that's super important. We have a system of, like, going through things, and then sometimes we find out, oh, we don't have a system here. Okay, let's make it. Like,
And we refine, and
Yeah.
refine.
yeah. But now pressure lies with me and what I do now, which is just like, answer that email, like, move it, clear it. I want to see zero inbox, When I see stuff in there and I can't get to it right away, then I'm like, the pressure in me starts to build. Like, I don't like it. And I have to, like, even though, like, I have maybe a legitimate reason for not answering it right away, and everybody will understand. It's not really a big deal. But I think for me mentally, I don't like to see an inbox full. I want to see inbox zero.
I would say for myself,
Yeah.
the pressure today is just to always remember that I have a team,
Yeah.
a larger team than just you and I,
Yeah.
that we're always sharing knowledge together, updating our knowledge for across the board, when I'm making fine tunes or I'm making adjustments to my edits, so our entire team will make the same adjustments. So our work is just one standard,
Yeah.
and just
Communicating
continue.
that.
Yeah, communication is key, as well as motivation is key,
Yeah.
and I feel that's pretty much it in terms of our business and the continuous pressure that we once felt and what we learned from way back until now, that we have different types of pressure, but it's not anything that we couldn't manage.
Yeah, I think it's okay. It's a healthy amount of pressure. I think without it, we wouldn't be motivated to improve or stay relevant or keep churning out a good quality product, right? So things like that. So now pressure has now shifted from like doing the job, but now like maintaining, I guess. The pressure to maintain, I guess. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would say that's pretty much it for today.
All right.
I hope everyone enjoyed that and learned more about what it feels like behind scenes, and what we go through, our mental blocks, or yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.